Sagittarius, let me speak to you not as a fortune teller but as someone who has spent a lifetime studying the strange intersections of astrology, psychology, and the theater of human life. Right now, the energy circling you is not subtle, it is thunderous, cinematic, the kind of moment when the curtain rises and you suddenly realize the story has been about you all along. You may feel as if you've been working in the shadows, refining your spirit when no one was looking, but the truth is someone with wealth or power has been quietly watching your arc, and the universe is arranging circumstances so that within 48 hours, their recognition could change your trajectory. I know, you may be tempted to laugh it off. Sagittarius humor is quick, and you often cope by shrugging and saying, "Sure, tell me something new." But humor aside, this isn't about flattery or easy destiny, it's about the quiet dignity of having earned notice through courage. Remember those nights you wrestled with your own doubts, choosing honesty over convenience? Those mornings you questioned if your authenticity was too heavy for a world that prefers costumes? That work was not invisible. Psychologically, people are drawn not to perfection but to resilience, and you, Sagittarius, have carried your resilience like a banner. In Buddhist terms, every act of truth-telling plants a karmic seed, and you are beginning to harvest the fruit. Someone important has not only seen your growth but respects it, and that kind of recognition carries more weight than applause from the crowd. You don't need saving, and that's precisely what makes you magnetic. Think of it as cosmic irony. The archer who thought no one was watching now discovers the gallery has been full the entire time. So, laugh at the timing if you must, pour yourself a glass of wine, and remember you were never playing small. The stage lights simply took their time catching up to you. Sagittarius, let us peel back the curtain for a moment and talk about recognition, the kind that is earned, not gifted, the kind that arrives unannounced after years of what you assumed was invisible labor. You, the eternal archer, so often fix your gaze on horizons not yet reached, pointing your arrow toward futures that others cannot even imagine. In doing so, you rarely glance backward, and you assume your growth is happening in private, as if your soul's homework were graded in silence and tucked away in a cosmic drawer. Yet here lies the irony, you were never as unseen as you believed. Someone wealthy, powerful, influential has been paying close attention, watching not the superficial arc of your public victories but the deeper transformations you endured in quiet moments. They've seen heartbreak reshaped into wisdom, disappointment alchemized into resilience, bitterness rejected in favor of expansion. In short, they've witnessed you refuse to shrink into cynicism and instead step more fully into your truth. And while you thought you were laboring unnoticed, the universe was projecting a highlight reel of your growth, and this unexpected observer has been leaning forward in the back row, captivated by the courage you thought was hidden. Here's the part that makes me smile, and it should make you smile too, Sagittarius. When you stop apologizing for your fire, you don't merely light your own path, you turn the entire room into daylight. Authenticity is your magnetic field, and when you finally embraced it, someone was pulled toward you almost against their own will. The laws of attraction are not just poetic, they are psychological and spiritual. When you embody wholeness rather than chase approval, you stop broadcasting need and begin radiating presence, and presence cannot be ignored. This glow is what has turned the invisible spotlight into a visible one, shining directly on you. Now, if we were at a table and I had the tarot spread before us, there are a few cards I would not ignore. The Wheel of Fortune is spinning, reminding us that destiny never parks in neutral, it shifts, it accelerates, it jolts us forward when we least expect it. You, Sagittarius, are being moved from the background role to center stage. The Ace of Wands appears like a match struck in darkness, signaling a fiery beginning, an invitation to create, to dare, to step through doors you didn't even knock on. And then comes Strength, that gentle lion tamer reminding us that this isn't mere chance. You weren't handed luck, you forged it. Every night you faced your doubts, every morning you chose honesty instead of convenience, you built the muscles that are now lifting you. And just as you take this in, the Hierophant enters with his eternal whisper, principles matter. Higher wisdom matters. Your stubborn insistence on living in alignment with your truth is the very currency being cashed in now. The recognition coming to you is not for masks or polished performances but for the rare bravery of standing naked in authenticity. Let us step away from the cards for a moment and enter the realm of psychology, because the mind has much to teach us here. One of the deepest human needs is not to be flattered but to be seen, to be recognized in essence. For Sagittarius, this has always been a paradox. People love your laughter, your wit, your wanderlust, they adore the way you tell stories over firelight or in crowded rooms. Yet behind the performance often hides the philosopher, the seeker, the restless scholar of truth who is too often overlooked. You have battled invisibility, not in the sense of being ignored but in the subtler way of being partially seen, your depth reduced to your sparkle. Recognition, when it comes from the right person, does more than validate, it recalibrates your self-concept. You begin to glimpse yourself as they see you, not only humorous but profound, not only adventurous but resilient, not only charming but wise. That is the medicine of this new moon, the tonic that corrects the distortion in your own mirror. And let's inject a little humor here, because what is Sagittarius without laughter? Imagine discovering that while you were sweating through late-night existential crises in sweatpants and coffee-stained t-shirts, someone powerful was watching and thinking, "There's the one I need to keep an eye on." It's almost comical, isn't it? Like finding out your blooper reel went viral but in the best possible way. The universe has a sly sense of humor, and you, the cosmic trickster, are now its punchline. But instead of embarrassment, the result is admiration. What makes this season so pivotal is not just that someone important notices you, it is that their recognition allows you to notice yourself differently. In Buddhist teaching, recognition is not an end but a mirror. The gaze of another becomes a reflection of your own essence, reminding you of truths you were too close to see. You are not merely admired, you are reminded. The light that someone else sees in you is the same light you have been carrying all along, hidden under layers of self-doubt. Their noticing is simply the bell that rings to wake you from the illusion of invisibility. So where does this leave you? Standing at the edge of a stage you didn't even know you were walking toward, bathed in light you didn't ask for but deserve. Recognition is not an accident, Sagittarius, it is the karmic fruit of resilience, honesty, and authenticity. And as much as you may want to shrug and laugh it off, remember this, even archers need an audience sometimes. The arrow you launched into the future has finally come full circle, and someone powerful is ready to applaud the archer who never stopped aiming high. Sagittarius, let's pause for a moment of humor, because you more than anyone need levity to keep from sprinting too far ahead of yourself. Whenever you hear the phrase life-changing offer, your imagination bolts like a horse breaking free from the gate. You picture someone handing you a passport, a microphone, and a generous stipend to travel the world, giving TED Talks on philosophy between sips of tequila under foreign stars. Admit it, you already picked the title of your first lecture. But not every cosmic blessing arrives stamped with airline miles. Sometimes the universe delivers opportunity in subtler, more grounded packages. Still, knowing your restless spirit, I wouldn't be surprised if this offer does involve some form of movement, freedom, or adventure, because the Sagittarian soul thrives on horizons not yet crossed. And yes, I can hear you muttering, "Please let this not be another pyramid scheme pitched by my cousin Gary." Rest assured, the energy surrounding this season is far too aligned and purposeful to waste itself on cheap gimmicks. The universe does have a sense of humor, but it rarely mistakes scams for synchronicity. Now let's get serious, because humor only works when it rests on a deeper truth. This moment isn't just about you individually, it's part of a wider pattern, a collective wave of Sagittarians stepping into a role I can only describe as the chosen ones of this season. Not chosen as saviors or prophets, but chosen because you refused to abandon authenticity when it was inconvenient, when it would have been easier to blend in. You chose truth over pretense, and in a world addicted to surfaces, that stubborn integrity set you apart. Recognition now arrives not as random applause but as karmic acknowledgement. And the timing couldn't be more fitting, because this entire cycle belongs to what I call the Year of Triumph 2025. This is not a year of easy shortcuts or lottery tickets falling from the sky. It is a year of victories earned the hard way, the kind that feel like graduating after years of late-night study while the world slept. You've been preparing without realizing it, and now the tassel turns. Recognition is not just a compliment, it is the diploma. But who exactly has been watching you? That's the question echoing in your mind. For some Sagittarians, the observer is a romantic partner with influence and resources who admires not only your smile but your survival. For others, it may be a mentor, a boss, an investor, or a creative ally with the capacity to amplify your voice beyond the limitations you once accepted. Whoever this figure is, they are not drawn to the polished mask you show at parties. They are pulled by the texture of your scars, the grit of your persistence, the alchemy that turned heartbreak into wisdom. They saw you collapse, but more importantly, they saw you rise again, like a phoenix daring the world to notice. And they could not look away. Remember this distinction, because authentic admiration is rare. Many people cheer when you are already winning, but very few respect the grind that forged the victory. This person respects the grind, and that is precisely what makes their recognition so potent and potentially life-changing. To understand why, we must ground this in timeless wisdom. Buddhist teaching reminds us that every action sends ripples outward. Karma is not a cosmic punishment but simply cause and effect unfolding through time. The inner work you thought no one noticed, those late nights wrestling with doubt, the quiet mornings where you chose honesty over pretense, none of that was wasted. Each act of courage planted a seed, each act of resilience watered it, and what you are experiencing now is not random reward but fruit finally ripening. When someone influential steps forward to recognize you, it may feel like magic, but it is in fact the most natural thing in the world, the visible outcome of invisible labor. Think of it as the universe saying, yes, you stayed true, and now it is time for others to see what I have seen all along. That is the deeper meaning of this season for you, Sagittarius, not only being noticed but understanding why the notice finally comes now, and how every step of your journey prepared you for this moment of light. Sagittarius, when we speak of offers arriving on your path, it is wise not to obsess over their exact shape, for life has a habit of surprising us in ways that make even seasoned astrologers chuckle. For some of you, the opportunity may come in the form of romance, not the fleeting spark that burns out quickly, but an invitation into partnership that feels balanced, reciprocal, and rooted in respect. For others, it may be financial, where a boss, mentor, or investor finally acknowledges your worth and extends an offer that validates years of labor you thought went unseen. And for still others, it could be creative, a collaboration that brings your ideas to life, a chance to publish words long kept in your journal, an opportunity to step onto a stage and speak, teach, or perform in ways that carry your message further than you ever imagined. The cards speak clearly here. The Ten of Cups points to joy and emotional fulfillment woven into the outcome, the Four of Wands whispers of celebrations and perhaps even commitment, and the Three of Pentacles confirms that what you have created, what you have honed, is not only noticed but admired. This is not hollow applause. It is authentic recognition of your unique gift, the kind that turns admiration into partnership. Yet with such recognition comes a caution, and I would be remiss if I didn't pause here to remind you. Recognition, while sweet, can also intoxicate. You have spent years learning to validate yourself without the applause of others. You have trained your independence, and in many ways, you have worn solitude like armor. Do not surrender that the moment someone claps for you. The Strength card steps in like a wise teacher, reminding you that grace, not ego, is the way to receive. Their admiration is a mirror reflecting your brilliance, not oxygen keeping you alive. You were whole before anyone noticed you, and you remain whole even as the spotlight grows brighter. Stay rooted in that wholeness, but don't forget to stay funny too. After all, Sagittarius humor is part of the magic that drew them in. And most importantly, stay wild. It was your willingness to gallop beyond the corral of conformity that made you magnetic in the first place. Now, what's especially interesting about this energy is the domino effect it suggests. Recognition multiplies. It starts with one figure of influence stepping forward to acknowledge you, and suddenly the floodgates open. Colleagues, friends, and even strangers find the courage to echo the same admiration. It is not vanity to receive this, it is resonance. When you tune yourself to authenticity, you become a frequency others cannot ignore, and the law of attraction works quietly but relentlessly. Expect more eyes upon you, expect more doors to swing open, and expect the sensation of invisibility, something you've wrestled with in the past, to dissolve. You are no longer in the shadows, the world is catching up to the light you've been carrying all along. Let me pause here and offer a reflection from years of studying both the stars and the subtleties of human psychology. Sagittarius thrives at the intersection of purpose and recognition. Without purpose, recognition feels like empty calories, pleasurable but unsatisfying. Without recognition, purpose can feel lonely, as if you are speaking wisdom into a void. But when the two converge, when your purpose is finally met with genuine recognition, a profound alignment occurs. That alignment is precisely what this reading points toward. And here lies the greater lesson: recognition is not just a gift, it is also a responsibility. I have watched Sagittarians dismiss praise because they feared vanity, only to later realize that recognition is not about ego but about calling. When people notice you, they are not merely admiring you, they are inviting you to lead, to teach, to inspire. They are asking you to model the courage of authenticity so they, too, can step into their light. And that, Sagittarius, is your Dharma. Recognition is not the end of the road, it is the signpost reminding you that your journey was never just for yourself. It was always meant to ripple outward, to awaken others, and to prove that the fire of one archer can illuminate the path for many. Sagittarius, the future that is unfolding before you is not a hazy mirage but a steady revelation, and the lens through which you will see yourself is nothing less than the sun itself. When this cycle completes, you will notice the shift. Life feels brighter, the self-doubt that once trailed you like an uninvited shadow begins to soften, and the fog of confusion lifts. What emerges is an integrated self, no longer fragmented into roles you played for survival. The philosopher who wrestled with truth, the adventurer who leapt into horizons unknown, the comedian who disarmed pain with laughter, the teacher who translated wisdom into story. All of these are not separate identities, but facets of one coherent being. And when you stand in that wholeness, there is no effort in shining, light simply radiates. The recognition that is arriving, whether from powerful observers or quiet admirers, is not the conclusion of your story, it is the prologue to a more authentic chapter where you see yourself as clearly as others already do. Here, then, is the breaking news: someone rich, influential, or simply significant has seen beyond the mask you wear at social gatherings, beyond the curated snapshots of your online persona, and into the raw, resilient, truth-seeking heart of you. Within 48 hours, a door of recognition opens wider. The question is not whether the door exists but whether you will walk through it with courage. Remember, you are among the chosen ones of this season, not because fate handed you an easy crown, but because you held on to your authenticity when surrendering to conformity would have been simpler. The Year of Triumph 2025 is your graduation ceremony, not a handout. You earned the tassel turn. Now, stay open, stay authentic, and yes, stay a little mischievous, because humor is not just your defense mechanism, it is your superpower. The universe is indeed watching, but more importantly, the right people are watching, and their gaze is recognition, validation, and invitation all at once. So live boldly, Sagittarius, savor the sweetness of this moment, and remember that your story is worth living out loud. If this message resonates, if it stirs something in your spirit, then support our journey together, like, share, and subscribe to Zodiac Talks Tarot, where your adventure meets wisdom, and your laughter meets truth.